If you want to find the exact, chemical alphabet that spells out your DNA, you really don't need to look in a biology lab.
No, not at all.
I mean, you don't even need to look on Earth. You just need to look at a generic, frozen piece of space rubble floating, 200 million miles away in the freezing void.
Yeah, out in the absolute middle of nowhere.
Right. So, welcome to this custom deep dive. Today, we've got a truly fascinating stack of material to go through with you.
We really do. It's quite a story.
It is. We are pulling from this brilliant post on the KULT Patreon page, specifically from their collection called El Nombre Elefante.
Which is a great collection, by the way.
Highly recommend it. And the topic on the table today is this recent discovery by a team of astronomers who analyzed samples from a 1-kilometer diameter asteroid named Ryugu.
Yeah, it's a remarkable piece of research. It was recently published in Nature Astronomy.
Yeah.
And basically, we are looking at the foundational chemical precursors to life, fully formed, just sitting on an otherwise completely unremarkable carbonaceous rock in our solar system.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because our mission today isn't just to, list off the chemicals they scraped off an asteroid.
No, that would be missing the bigger picture.
Exactly. We need to figure out the mechanics of this. How does a lifeless piece of space rubble end up synthesizing our entire biological origin story?
Right. The actual how of it all.
And we want to discover why, counterintuitively, the absolute most groundbreaking part of this entire astrobiological finding is actually how utterly, incredibly ordinary this specific asteroid actually is.
Yeah, it's the magic of the mundane, as it were.
I love that, the magic of the mundane. But before we get into what they found, we really need to establish how they got it. Because getting pristine, 4.6 billion-year-old rock from the early solar system is, well, it's not easy.
No, it's incredibly difficult. To understand why this is so critical, we have to look at the sheer lengths the scientific community went to. We're talking about the Japanese Hayabusa 2 mission.
Which, honestly, when you break down the logistics of it, it sounds like a science fiction heist movie.
It really does. I mean, they pulled off something staggering.
They literally pointed a spacecraft at a moving mountain in the void of space.
Ow.
They launched it in 2014 and tracked it as it arrived at Ryugu in 2018.
And arriving is just the first part of the problem.
Right. They didn't just take pictures. They actually descended, fired a tantalum bullet into the surface.
Literally shot the asteroid.
Shot the asteroid. To kick up this pristine subsurface material, they captured that dust and successfully brought it all the way back to Earth in 2020.
Completely intact, yeah.
Which is basically a cosmic heist, pulling up to a moving vault, scooping up the goods, and speeding back home. But here's my question. Space is full of rocks. Why target Ryugu specifically for such a complex and difficult mission? I mean, millions of meteorites fall to Earth naturally. We have fragments of Mars, the Moon, asteroids. They're sitting in museums right now.
That's true. We have a lot of free samples, so to speak.
Right. So why go through this multi-million-dollar, decade-long ordeal of intercepting Ryugu when the universe delivers space rocks to our backyard for free?
Well, because contamination is basically the ultimate enemy in astrobiology.
Ah, okay.
Right.
Earth ruins the evidence.
Exactly. The very moment a meteorite enters our atmosphere, its scientific integrity is totally compromised.
Because of the heat.
Heat is a huge part of it, yeah. First, you have the immense thermal shock of reentry, which can it can alter or completely destroy fragile organic molecules.
So the evidence burns up before it even hits the ground.
Or it gets cooked into something else. And then, assuming it survives that, the rock crashes into the dirt and immediately acts like a sponge for the terrestrial biosphere.
Oh, right. It's touching Earth dirt.
It absorbs atmospheric water, it gets colonized by Earth microbes within hours, literally hours, and it interacts with our nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere.
So if you find something interesting on it, you don't know where it came from.
Exactly. If you find an amino acid on a meteorite sitting in a desert somewhere, you can never be 100% certain it didn't just come from, terrestrial bacteria.
It's a corrupted crime scene.
Right.
You can't trust the fingerprints on the evidence because Earth's fingerprints are already smeared all over it.
That is a perfect way to put it. So Hayabusa 2 had to secure the package before it ever touched our atmosphere.
Keep it in a bubble, essentially.
The completely hermetic seal, yeah.
Right.
The samples from Ryugu were kept under vacuum and in strictly controlled inert gas environments the second they returned.
Wow.
So scientists are observing the pristine, untouched chemical environment of the early solar system. It's a time capsule frozen from 4.6 billion years ago.
And Ryugu specifically.
Right. Ryugu was chosen because it's a C-type asteroid, a carbonaceous chondrite.
Meaning it has a lot of carbon.
Yes. It's very rich in volatile compounds, primitive organics, and crucially, carbon. It's the perfect window into the prebiotic chemistry of our solar system.
Which leads to a massive mechanical question, Frank.
Okay, let's hear it.
We all know carbon is the backbone of life, right?
Mhm.
But space is a freezing, highly irradiated vacuum. How do complex molecules even form out there?
It seems impossible, doesn't it?
It really does. I think we tend to imagine asteroids as just these sterile, dead chunks of iron and silica bumping into each other.
Yeah, that assumption is incredibly common, but it completely ignores the dynamic chemistry of the interstellar medium.
Okay, so what's actually happening out there?
Well, you have to envision what we call the cosmic forge.
The Cosm Forge. I like that.
Long before our sun even ignited, right?
Yeah.
The matter that makes up our solar system was just this vast, cold molecular cloud.
Just a big cloud of gas and dust.
Exactly. And inside that cloud, you have these microscopic dust grains. Now, in the deep freeze of space, volatile molecules, things like water, carbon monoxide, ammonia, they freeze directly onto the surface of these dust grains.
So they form like a coating.
Yeah, they create these icy mantles around the dust.
Okay, so you have these tiny frozen chemical snowballs just floating around in the dark.
Floating in the dark, but they aren't left alone.
What happens to them?
These ice-coated grains are constantly being bombarded by cosmic rays and ultraviolet photons from distant stars.
Oh, so they're getting blasted with radiation.
Constantly. And that radiation acts as an energy source. It penetrates the ice, breaking the simple molecular bonds of the water and the carbon monoxide.
Like shattering them apart.
Right. And then those fragmented atoms and free radicals, they recombine. But they recombine into much more complex, heavier organic molecules.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Over millions of years, this radiation-driven slow cooker synthesizes a massive inventory of prebiotic organics.
And then that dust becomes the asteroid.
Exactly. When the solar system finally formed, all those complex organics were baked right into the rubble that eventually became asteroids like Ryugu.
That makes so much sense. I never thought about it like that. The radiation isn't just destroying things. It's actually providing the activation energy for complex chemistry.
It's the engine driving the whole process, yeah.
Okay, so Hayabusa 2 brings this pristine, vacuum-sealed time capsule back to Earth in 2020.
Right.
The laboratories finally crack it open. They use ultra-high-resolution mass spectrometry to see what this cosmic forge managed to cook up 4.6 billion years ago.
And that's when the Nature Astronomy paper drops.
Right, because what they found inside wasn't just random carbon. They found the alphabet of life.
They really did. The researchers identified a very specific set of nucleobases.
Okay, tell us what they found.
They found adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine, and uracil.
Wow.
Yeah, alongside some other organic compounds like vitamin B3, actually.
Okay, so for an audience that follows astrobiology, finding organic molecules in space isn't entirely new, right?
No, we've found amino acids in simple organics before.
But finding uracil alongside the other four on a C-type asteroid, that feels like a massive leap.
It is a massive leap.
Because we are looking at the complete set of pyrimidines and purines that make up our genetic code.
With whole set.
Like adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. That's A, T, C, and G. That forms the double helix of DNA.
Exactly.
And the uracil is the specific one that replaces thymine to form RNA, which actually translates the genetic info into proteins.
Right, it's the messenger.
Finding that exact suite of molecules, the complete alphabet, just sitting in the dirt of a random space rock. It's staggering. It's like finding a sealed box floating in the middle of the ocean, opening it, and finding A, C, T, G, and U.
The exact alphabet tiles you need to spell out every living organism on Earth.
Exactly. But wait, if the fundamental building blocks of life are sitting right there on a space rock, does this mean life is already out there?
Well, what's fascinating here is how easily human intuition conflates the presence of ingredients with the existence of the final biological product.
I mean, I have to admit, my mind goes straight there.
It's natural. When we see the letters of our genetic code, we instinctively assume biological activity.
Right, because if the literal operating system of life, the A, C, T, G, and U, is just floating around on a rock 200 million miles away, doesn't that fundamentally suggest that life itself is already out there?
It suggests the potential is ubiquitous, absolutely, but it does not imply the presence of biology.
Okay, break that down for me.
We must draw a really hard line between prebiotic chemistry and biology.
Chemistry versus biology.
Yes. The samples from Ryugu contain these nucleobases, but they exist as isolated molecules.
They're just floating by themselves.
Right. They are not linked together by sugar phosphate backbones. They aren't forming helical structures. They aren't replicating. And they certainly aren't carrying any coded information.
Okay, so it's the difference between finding a pile of metal and finding a functioning internal combustion engine.
That's a great way to look at it. The parts are there, but the machine hasn't been assembled. To use your linguistic analogy from earlier, we have found the alphabet tiles scattered on a table, but they haven't been arranged into a Shakespearean sonnet.
They're just a pile of letters.
Exactly. The significance of this finding isn't that Ryugu hosts life.
Right.
The significance is firmly establishing that the specific nucleobases required for terrestrial life are thermodynamically stable sinks.
Stable sinks. What does that mean?
It means they are the natural favored end products of carbon chemistry operating in the vacuum of space. The universe naturally wants to make these specific shapes.
Okay, so if it's just a pile of unwritten alphabet tiles and there's no actual biology happening, I would almost expect astrobiologists to be a little disappointed.
You'd think so, right? No aliens.
Yeah, no aliens.
Yeah.
But the KULT Patreon piece points to this incredible perspective that totally flips that expectation on its head.
Yes, they bring in a great quote there.
They do. They quote Cesar Menor-Salvin, who is an astrobiologist and a professor of biochemistry at the University of Alcalá.
Right, via the Science Media Center, Spain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And his reaction to finding the complete DNA alphabet on an asteroid was essentially, yes, this is exactly what we expected.
Yeah, he was very clear about that. He noted that the results from Ryugu are neither surprising nor groundbreaking in terms of overturning our existing paradigms.
Which sounds almost dismissive.
It does sound a bit dry.
I mean, finding the literal components of RNA in deep space isn't a surprise. But he uses this fantastic analogy to explain it.
It's a really grounding analogy.
He says finding these nucleobases is like finding sand, clay, and rocks in a field and thinking they explain the origin and evolution of architecture or ceramics.
Right. The raw materials are a prerequisite for the architecture, certainly.
You need clay to make a pot.
But finding a pile of clay does not explain how humanity learned to build cathedrals. The jump in complexity from clay to a cathedral is astronomical.
So what does this all mean? If astrobiologists are essentially just finding cosmic sand and clay, and it explicitly does not prove aliens exist, why is Menor-Salvin, and really the broader scientific community, treating this lack of surprise as a massive victory?
Well, this raises an important question about the ultimate goals of the physical sciences.
Well,
We are, culturally conditioned to celebrate the eureka moments.
sudden anomalies that break all our models and force us to rewrite the textbooks.
Exactly. But in chemistry, physics, astrobiology, the true hallmark of mature science is predictability.
Because if you can predict it, you actually understand the underlying mechanism.
Precisely the point. For decades, origin of life research had to wrestle with this really uncomfortable idea
Which was?
that the formation of DNA and RNA nucleobases might have required a highly specific, highly improbable set of conditions that were totally unique to the primordial Earth.
Like a one-off chemical miracle.
A chemical miracle, exactly. But theoretical models of interstellar chemistry suggested these molecules should form naturally via those radiation pathways we discussed earlier in the cosmic forge.
So the math said they should be there.
Right, and when Hayabusa 2 brings back a rock, and we find exactly what the models predicted we would find, it is a massive triumph of scientific modeling.
It completely demystifies our origins.
It does.
The alphabet of our DNA isn't some rare, fragile miracle. It's literally just the deterministic outcome of carbon, ice, and stellar radiation interacting over billions of years.
It shifts the entire baseline. It means we can confidently look at any carbonaceous rock in any solar system and accurately predict its prebiotic inventory.
Wait, okay. If C-type asteroids are defined by this carbonaceous makeup,
Yeah.
then Ryugu isn't special at all. It's totally generic.
Utterly generic.
Which means our solar system isn't just holding one or two of these time capsules, it's practically cluttered with them.
Oh, absolutely cluttered.
Let's talk about that, because there's another recent space discovery referenced in the source material regarding the asteroid Bennu.
Yes, the OSIRIS-REx mission.
Right. They returned samples from Bennu, and a highly anticipated study on those samples was published in December 2025. And on Bennu, scientists found a slightly different kind of biological treasure trove,
They found glucose.
which is huge,
Yeah.
a fundamental sugar that serves as a vital energy source for life.
They also found various protein-forming amino acids and, of course, nucleic bases.
So both Bennu and Ryugu exhibit incredibly rich prebiotic environments.
They do, but they belong to totally different taxonomic classes of asteroids,
Right. Bennu is a B-type asteroid.
which are relatively uncommon.
But Ryugu, the asteroid where we just mapped out the exact 5 letters of our DNA and RNA, Ryugu is a C-type asteroid.
And C-type asteroids make up a staggering 70 to 75% of the entire population of the main asteroid belt.
75%.
They are the dominant demographic of rocky debris in our solar system.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Bennu, with its specific high-energy sugars and rare amino acid profile, sounds like a rare boutique grocery store.
A specialty shop, sure.
But Ryugu is the generic run-of-the-mill supermarket on literally every single corner.
Right.
Does the fact that Ryugu is so utterly common make this discovery far more important for you and me?
Oh, without a doubt. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the sheer scale of that generic nature is what makes this the most profound realization of the whole deep dive.
Because it's everywhere.
Because it changes the entire narrative of early Earth. If 75% of the asteroid belt shares a similar composition to Ryugu, it provides the mechanical backing for one of the most critical phases in our planet's history.
Late heavy bombardment.
Exactly. Approximately 4 billion years ago, the inner solar system went through a violently chaotic period.
Just rocks smashing into everything.
Right. The orbits of the giant planets shifted, destabilizing the asteroid belt and sending millions of rocks hurtling toward the inner planets. Early Earth, which was really just beginning to cool down and form oceans at the time, was pummeled relentlessly for hundreds of millions of years.
It's usually painted as this apocalyptic, purely destructive era.
It was incredibly violent, yes. But if 75% of those impactors were C-type asteroids, like Ryugu,
Rocks packed to the brim with nucleobases synthesized in the cosmic forge.
then the late heavy bombardment wasn't just a demolition derby. It was the largest exogenous delivery mechanism in the history of our planet.
Earth was being carpet-bombed with life's alphabet.
Earth was being seeded. Megatons of adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine, and uracil raining down from the sky, dissolving directly into the primordial oceans.
The construction site was just being flooded with the raw bricks.
It effectively solves the supply chain problem for the origin of life.
Because Earth didn't have to make it all itself.
Exactly. Earth didn't need to synthesize all of its own prebiotic inventory from scratch through, lightning strikes or hydrothermal vents alone.
The cosmos manufactured the molecules in the deep freeze of space and just delivered them in bulk.
Delivered straight to our door.
That completely reframes how we should look at the night sky. Like those impact craters on the moon, the shooting stars we see, they are the visible remnants of a delivery system that brought the precursors of biology right to our doorstep.
It's a beautiful way to think about it. But, and this is a big but, while that delivery mechanism is highly supported by the Ryugu findings, we must be careful not to jump the vast, dark gap that still remains.
The gap between the chemistry and the biology.
Right, between the clay and the ceramics.
Yeah.
We know how the alphabet tiles were forged in space. We know how they were delivered to Earth in massive quantities. But the mechanisms that caused those isolated letters to actually begin linking together into self-replicating strands of RNA and eventually DNA, that remains one of the most profound mysteries in all of science.
Going from a warm puddle of scattered nucleobases to a living, dividing cell.
It requires hundreds of complex, thermodynamically uphill steps. The ingredients are common, incredibly common, but the spark of assembly is still hidden from us.
Okay, so let's synthesize this journey for you.
It's been quite a ride.
We started with the sheer audacity of Hayabusa 2, tracking down a moving mountain, firing a bullet into its surface to bypass billions of years of contamination, and bringing a pristine 4.6 billion-year-old vacuum-sealed capsule back to Earth.
A mission that allowed us to finally bypass the noise of our own biosphere and analyze the untouched chemistry of the solar nebula.
And inside that capsule, we found A, C, T, G, and U, the complete nucleobase alphabet of DNA and RNA.
Right.
But the true breakthrough wasn't some huge shock to the system. It was the quiet, powerful victory of predictability. Astrobiologists expected to find it, proving that the chemical building blocks of life aren't some miraculous anomaly, but a standard deterministic feature of cosmic chemistry.
The cosmic forge works reliably, everywhere.
And because Ryugu represents 75% of the asteroid belt, we know that during the late heavy bombardment, early Earth was seeded with an astronomical abundance of these molecules.
The ingredients of your own DNA were baked in the cold, dark of space.
Hitching a ride on the most generic, ordinary rocks in the solar system. which leaves us with a totally new, maybe slightly unnerving thought to chew on as we wrap up.
Oh, and what would that be?
Think about the implications of that universality. If the cosmic forge operates the exact same way everywhere, breaking down ice and carbon to reliably produce adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine, and uracil,
Right.
and if these ordinary rocks are constantly delivering that exact same alphabet to every nascent planet in the galaxy, does that mean we already know what alien DNA looks like?
Oh, wow.
If the universe is a franchise strictly supplying A, C, T, G, and U, will extraterrestrial life, if we ever find it, be forced to run on the exact same genetic operating system as us?
A convergent evolution at the absolute deepest molecular level. If the raw materials are standardized across the cosmos, the architecture might just follow suit.
It's an incredible mystery to leave on. Thank you so much for joining us on this custom deep dive into the cosmic origins of our chemistry.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope we've given you a new way to look at the night sky and a profound new appreciation for the ordinary rocks floating around out there. Keep questioning, keep looking up, and we will catch you next time.